Welcome everyone, and in this video we're going to take a look at how we can create a password system for our games. Hey guys, just want to give you a quick update as to why there wasn't any videos for the last 2 weeks. I believe it was. And that's because the computer actually broke down. This last month and a half has been terrible. I've had to replace quite a few things. As you know, the expensive monitor, now the computer. And thank God it's only been mainly those two things, but on the other hand, those two are expensive things. But what had happened is we had a power outage, and then after the power came back on, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, after about a half hour after the power came back on, the power supply just popped. I don't know why, but it did, so that needed replacements and all that stuff, which is wasn't cheap, but we should be back. We should be good now. Now, let's get back to the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. We gotta go ahead and create our little scene so that our user can actually input a password. So we're just gonna go ahead and create a user interface. Of course, if this is gonna be part of your UI, you're probably gonna have this on a canvas layer. So let's see. Do we wanna? No, we'll just do this as a control. That way, if you want to put this as a canvas layer, you can add it to your UI later. So we'll call this password manager. If I can spell, I forgot a D in there apparently, or deleted it, whichever. So we have our password manager. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S, do a little save there, save the scene, that's fine. I'm going to bring in my icon here, make it a bit bigger, so that we can see it when we load up. So we're going to use this to test out our code, make sure everything works. And then from there, you can obviously make your functions and responses and all that do whatever it is you want to do. So I'm just going to hit this test scene button. Yep, that looks fine to me. And while we're here, I'll go ahead and we can capture it. So I can show you guys. Do this. Do that. That's good. And we'll say the title has to match. There we go. And we can just place that right down there. Or you know, yeah. Let's do that. Alright, so I'll go ahead and stop that from running now that we have that going. So what we need now is we obviously need a place for our user to input a password. Now you can create your own keyboards in that if you want to go a little crazy. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to go ahead and create a line edit. And we'll just put it right there. Go ahead and create a label. The enter password. Place that right there. And we don't really need an enter button because with a line edit, you can just hit the enter key. But of course, if you're going for controller support, you're probably going to have a button in there. So I'm going to go ahead and add a script onto the password manager. Create. And for my line edit, I'm going to send a signal, text entered. So whenever we hit the enter key, when the text or the line edit is the focus, it's going to submit our whatever is written in there in the form of the new text parameter here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a variable and call this codes, and this is going to be a list of all of our codes that get accepted. So I'm going to call this, let's do Red World for one. And we'll do another one for, I don't know, Greenland. And Randovision. Alright, so those will be our 3 codes. Now when text gets entered, I'm going to change my parameter here from saying new text to password. since that's exactly what our text is going to be, we won't need our ready function at all. So we can just jump directly into this. And all we're going to do is we're going to check if our password is not in our list of codes. And if it isn't, then we can just return. Now return is going to exit out of our function, so let's go ahead and set that up. So we'll say if not password in codes. So if whatever's been entered into our text is not one of our accepted codes here, then we can just return. And for sake of this, I'm also going to clear the line. Line edit.clear. And if it is in the codes, then that if statement is not going to get triggered. So if it is one of our codes, then we're simply just going to do the same thing here. We're going to clear our line. And we're actually going to call a function using the call method. And what this does is this allows you to call a function and pass in parameters in the form of strings. So you see, if I go like this, we put in a string of red world. I can now put in a comma and add in another whatever into here, and that will be passed in as an argument. And this red world is listed as a string, the same string that we're using up here for our code. And that's going to call a function called red world. So the name of your function here has to be the same thing as the string that's called in here. And in our case, since obviously we don't want it to be red world every single time, we can actually just call password in there because that's already going to be a string. So now inside of red world here, for example, is whatever you want to happen. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and do icon that we're using there. I'm going to self-modulate. And let's see if I remember how to do this. And that's going to work, right? Hopefully, as long as there's no errors. So let's boot that up. And if we type in red world and hit enter, there we go. So you can do that for the rest of your functions here. Or give you more lives, God mode, whatever it is you want to do. But there we go. We now have a working password system that's completely functional for whatever game you want to put in.